Al Gilbert. Welcome to my live call tonight with a question. How can I find more prospects? And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing for over 40 years. I share a lot of what I've learned in my journey on these live calls. I started in this business totally broke. I sold a junk truck to get started. And I put $200 into my business. That was almost 28 years ago, and I've been full-time ever since, and I love it. If you have to work, there's no place like home. Open this up, and Archie Schrader, my friend in Alabama, good to see you. Anyway, to questions, right? To questions. This is Friday night. So I'm going to do my best to try to answer some of these questions, and you can feel free to post some questions, and then George will screenshot it and send it to me. So let's get right into it. And Rocio, she says, question, there was someone who I told about the business before. He went to another company and wants to switch with us, that is, leave the company he's in now and go with her. But he has a large organization and said he wants to switch, but he doesn't know how. I am actually talking to him this afternoon before you go live. I appreciate your wisdom. Well, here's the thing. So he has a team in another company and he wants to come over with you. Okay, the tricky thing about this is that when people join the business, they either join because of you or they join because they believe in the company, the product that you convinced them to believe in that was so great and awesome and powerful, right? The question is, how much influence does he have with that team, right? That's really what it comes down to. If he has a lot of influence with that team will probably go with him to that other company. On the other hand, if that person did not spend a lot of time building relationships in that team and the people were more bonding to the company and the product, that's going to be problematic on that team coming over. So that's the thing, and that's going to be the challenge. So only he knows the answer to those questions. And that's not an easy situation to be in because it's especially when it's a large team, because the larger it becomes, sometimes the less influence you have. It just depends on how good you are as a communicator with that team. And if you stayed involved and you were doing training calls, if he was doing training calls with that team and communicating with them, and they really believe in his leadership, then there's, like I said, there's a good chance that many would come. Doesn't mean that they all will. So there's no answer to that, because I don't know the answer to those questions, and you may not know that either, about how strong his influence really is. And Lexus, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing in the Philippines? He's down in Cebu, friends. Cebu, Philippines is beautiful white sand beaches. I've stayed there before. Incredible. Just I love Cebu. Okay, Michael Lentz. Is Michael Lentz in the house? Anyway, Michael asks, how do you react when you know leaders in your company operate with very bad moral and ethics, and still they are always being promoted as superstars on stage? Should we keep our teams away from those events? Appreciate your response. Okay, so this is not an easy one either, is it? Okay, so he's talking about an upline and or leaders in the company, may not be his upline. Hopefully it's not your upline. Leaders in your company that operate with bad moral and ethics. Okay, and I've seen this. I've been in companies like this. I remember many years, back in the 90s, I was in a company, and that was one complaint. Some of the people had was when the leaders would, at leadership events or reward trips, and they're always drunk. Not a good example, right? So here's the thing. When you say they're always being promoted as superstars on stage, should we keep our teams away from those events? Here's the problem. The problem, Michael, is if it's a company event, how are you going to tell your leaders not to go to company events? You see what I mean? That would be problematic because it would disempower those leaders. Because that's why you go to company events and conventions and things like that. But if you're talking about events that are being promoted within the team, and these are team events, here's the thing. If we talk about these leaders, about what they're doing, and it's a lot of negative gossip, even though it's true, it has damaging effects on your own team to talk about it. If it's company events, I would take your team to the company event, but but if they're doing a breakout session during the convention or the company event, and those particular leaders are doing a breakout session and they're promoting it, what you need to do is be prepared to promote your own event. And if you have an upline that is good supportive upline, they're good people, get them on board in doing that so that you have your own breakout event. And it's at the same time that those corrupt leaders are doing theirs, so that that they don't go to theirs, they go to yours, and then you keep your team there. But again, that's if it's a company event. If it's not a company event, if it's these people doing their own events, then I would the important thing is, in the absence of leadership, there will be always someone they will follow. In the absence of leadership, there will always be someone they're going to follow, even if they're bad people. So the important thing is, don't leave a vacuum. So if they're promoting events, make sure you're doing events. And create a culture too, and talk about your culture in your, let's say if you have a Facebook group, I assume you do, with your team, talk about your team's culture. See, whatever things that they're bad about, then you guys got to be good at. You got to believe in these things, like honesty, integrity, truth. These are important things in our business, because once we lose respect, once we've done something that is not good, such as the people that you're describing, then they lose their influence is what happens. They're sacrificing their influence, and leadership is influence, so therefore they're sacrificing their leadership. So then really, then what leadership and influence do they have anymore over these people? They're disempowering themselves by their conduct. See, it's so again, you be that leader, then organize those events. But again, if they're company events, don't tell your leaders not to go to company events. You definitely want them going to company events, but have your own breakout, possibly during either before the event, during the event, after the event, or at the same time that these other people are doing it. Now, he also follows that up with how many people can you work effectively with at the same time? How many new people can you work with effectively at the same time? So, it just depends on everybody's schedule. The important thing is whatever we promise we should do, and rightfully, when you're bringing somebody on, you need to work with that person and make sure you're equipping that person with everything that they need. Do they know the tools to use? What is your video, your prospecting video? Do they know about any Zoom calls? What about the Facebook group, or have they been added to it? Is there an onboarding video so that they can know what steps they need to take their first few weeks in the business? Those are important things that you have to do. But so it depends on, again, your schedule, how much time you have, whether you're part-time, full-time, I'm not sure. And then also, so let's just say if they're part-time, if you're part-time, and the people you're bringing in are part-time, that means you both have limited time. Therefore, just have a schedule. Have a scheduled time to bring somebody on, and they're serious about the business. Then you might want to just dedicate a certain day to that person. That doesn't mean that's the only person you talk or work with. But let's just say if you just have a few hours and that's all you have, then you can block in at least an hour time with that leader. The following day, you might block in an hour of time with another leader. You have to decide how many days that you're going to work in a week and how much time you're going to work in those days. Again, you can also ask for your upline to support you on days that you're not available or times you're not available. Add these new leaders, add them into a messenger chat with some of your upline that you respect, and then just say, hey, I want you to welcome aboard someone that just joined us. He's totally awesome, and I told him about how awesome you are as an upline, and it's great to do that, because when you get some of your upline involved, and if they have a question, and let's say you're at work and they're asking that question, somebody in the upline sees that in a messenger chat, then they just jump right in there and give the answer, which is great. It's nice to have that support, but you gotta figure out your schedule, their schedule. But in a month's time, you could work with effectively 5 or 6 people. You can, but the important thing is equipping them. Keep in mind, you want these people system dependent, not Michael dependent. If they're dependent on you, then that's really a problem, which brings the other question. I need an effective way to make leaders self-going and independent, an effective way. Okay, so again, don't make them dependent on you. Make sure that you equip them with everything that they should have. Specifically, they need to understand the basics about your product, whatever your product is. And if you have 100 products, you cannot educate them on 100 products. That is complexity, and that doesn't duplicate. Okay, so I have to assume that in your company, you must have a lead product. And if you're not sure, and you probably know, but if you're not sure, just ask your company, what's your top 3 sellers? If you look at your company, what are your top 3 selling products and your number 1? And if you know what your number 1, number 2 is, you pretty much know where you need to focus, because most likely that's what brought you into the company, right? And if it's not, if it's something else, but it's something that you're very hot on, and that's what you want to attract people to, then they need to understand what that product is, number one. Number two, the video, the prospecting video, any Facebook groups that they can be added to where they're going to get support in terms of product, a product group where they're going to see and hear what people are experiencing and sharing about their using the product, as well as a team building group, so that they can be around others and be inspired by others and their success in the business. And then just make sure they're plugged into any calls that are coming up, either from your company or yourself. Now, here's one thing I want you to remember: what's an effective way to make leaders independent? Remember this: involvement creates commitment. Involvement creates commitment. I've seen this even in my organization where there are meeting venues and there's generally one or two people that are always doing the presentation. The problem is when they don't show up, especially now with the coronavirus, right? Venue meetings are dead, okay? But you could still do Zoom meetings, but again, who's doing the presentation? There comes a time you have to hand the ink pen over to your junior leader, and that person needs to step up. And I went through that process too. I didn't like it, but when I was asked to get on the stage and present something, then I just, I did it. I wasn't comfortable at all about it, but that's how you do it. You've got to stop doing things and start delegating things to others. So let's say that you're going to do a Zoom opportunity presentation about your company. You have some slides ready. Now you could do the whole thing, couldn't you? You could talk about the company, talk about the need for the product, talk about the product, talk about the opportunity, and then call to action. You could do all of that yourself, but do you really need to do all of that yourself? The way to get your junior leaders involved is get them involved. Involvement creates commitment. So just ask them, say, hey, Tom, I'd like you to cover the company on the Zoom call if you could. These are the slides that are dedicated for this. Yeah, we have three slides, and I would like you to share that. Can you do that? Yeah? Okay, good. Great. We'll see you then. And then same thing. You talk to someone else, say, hey, Debbie, you speak so highly of the product and explain it so well. Could you handle the next 4 slides in the PowerPoint that we're going to have in our opportunity presentation? Oh, yes, I would love to do that. Great, Debbie. Awesome. But later on, you can switch Debbie, even though she loves talking about the product, you can switch her over to also talking about the company at a later presentation. And that gentleman can talk about the product. Someone else can talk about, where you become more of an orchestra conductor. And you're just, and you go, and then the music starts happening. I'll tell you, that's involvement creates commitment. And that's what I've learned. Pull them out of the chairs, hand them the ink pen, say, you present. But we're going to be nice about it. We're going to prepare them for it. So let's go to Andrina in Texas, who always has good questions. These are all great questions tonight, but Andrina's always coming back. She's such a awesome student. We're all students. Anyway, she says, what strategies can I use to add friends to my list every day? I need more friends. I need more new friends. Well, here's the thing. It's a different time. I can remember back 30 years ago, we had the fishbowl technique. Is there anybody on this call who remembers what the fishbowl technique was? I would be impressed. But you can say me, and but the fishbowl technique was, it goes like this. We would go into a restaurant, but at the cashier there would be a fishbowl, and it would always be full of cards. And so what I would do was, I would say, hey, is your manager around? Oh yeah, my manager's around. And so I'd say, hey, could I speak with him? So he'd come over, can I help you? I said, yeah, what are you going to do with these cards after you do a drawing? Because what they'll do is they do a drawing and somebody wins a free meal. That's the whole idea. They might pull out 3 cards in a week, give away three meals. I said, after you do the drawing, what are you going to do with the cards? He said, throw them away. I said, what if I pay for the meals, but you give me the cards? Would you do that? Yeah? Great, awesome. When are you going to do this? When are you going to do the drawing? And then I'll show back up and I'll give you the money for the meals and you give me the cards. And interesting thing, then I would take those cards home, lay them all out on the dining room table, and I go, wow, look at this. Look at these professionals. These are some of these are business people. And they have email addresses. Oh my gosh. Phone numbers, things like that. And what I would do is I would pick up the phone and call and say, hey man, I was at this restaurant. I just saw your card in a fishbowl. Couldn't resist it. I had to at least get your information because you just look like a professional, somebody that would know an income opportunity when you saw one. Are you open to other opportunities and ways of making money? And generally they always would say, yeah, so what you got, And of course, I never do the presentation on the phone. I would say, hey, I'm glad you're asking. What I would like to do is meet with you in person. Of course, today we would say, I'll send you a video, right? Things like that. But my point is, how did we add more friends and get more contacts back then, 30 years ago? We got very resourceful, as Tony Robbins says. Tony says, get resourceful. When you got nothing, or things are at their worst, or it's not moving ahead, you just get resourceful. And that's what we did. That and newspaper advertising, I'd run an ad, just a generic ad, just to get the phone. That was my goal. Get the phone to ring. Get the phone to ring. Second goal, make the appointment. I don't do the presentation over a phone. I make the appointment. And then when they show up for the appointment, I do the presentation and I ask them to make a decision to join. So let's go back to now, fast forward, year 2020. That's what Andrina said. Yeah, Jeff, that is the year we're in. So here's the thing. Today, there's different ways that you can do it. I know that, what is that, Selena? Is it Selena? Did a presentation in the Top Earner Club in Ray Higdon's Top Earner Club. I remember one day, and she was talking about that every day. She doesn't she's an Instagram person, but she spends about 30 minutes every day on Instagram. She calls it the 333. 30 minutes, find 3 people that meet your criteria, people that you're looking for. In her case, she's looking for people who blog what they do. They're just bloggers. And the reason why bloggers are good to choose is because they have a following. They have an email database, right? So when you recruit the blogger, you're not just recruiting one, you're going to be recruiting hundreds, if not thousands of people, right? So these are people with influence. So 30 minutes a day, I'm going to look for 3 people who have good content on Instagram, likes or hearts, whatever you want to call that. That's not the total criteria. If a woman shows up and she barely has any clothes on and she's getting 1 million likes or hearts, that is not part of the criteria. That doesn't qualify. Okay, so that's the thing. So what she's looking for, and so let's just say she wants to attract to. She's looking for moms who are into their kids, they're into family life, they're into that kind of stuff. All right, great, fine. She looks for women who are good at that, and then they're also bloggers. So again, 30 minutes, find 3 every day that meet some kind of criteria in whatever area you want, and then engage with those 3 every day. Engage. That's the goal. So that's the Instagram approach. The Facebook approach, of course, we're on Facebook right now, right? So let's just say that you set a goal, and your goal is to reach out to 10 people a day. Now, how long does it take to reach out to 10 people a day? Really doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, you could do 5 in the morning, you could do 5 in the evening, but your goal is 10 a day. If you do that, you're looking at 3,600 people a year that you're engaging with. That's quite a lot, the numbers. So we're saying well over 300 a month on average, and let's just do a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is 10%, which I think it'll be higher than that, but 10% of those people you can get a presentation to, and out of that, 5 you can get on the phone. Yes, that is, get on the phone, have a conversation. So we're talking about in a month. I thought, I don't know, am I very good? I don't know why my Wi-Fi did that, but we're having strange weather tonight. So we're talking about, again, and the 5 that you get on the phone. The bottom line here is that if you do that, if you can get 5 people to enroll because you're consistently reaching out to 10 a day, you're talking over 300. 10% you give presentations to. 5 of those people that commit to join you either as a customer or as a distributor. If you use the word distributor or partner, business builder, whatever you want to call that person, at the end of the year, if you did that consistently, you will have sponsored 60 people in your business. 60 people in your business. So again, that's doing 10 a day, reaching out to 10 people a day, engaging with those 10, doing that every month. And again, look at the big picture. Don't look at just the month. We're talking about the results you get at the end of the year, the total picture after reaching out to 3,600 people. That's right. Is it worth it? Well, I don't know. I don't know how big your dream is, but at the end of the year, you got 60 people that you sponsor. Now think about this. The top earner in any company, like the one I'm in, and I am top 10 in my company, okay? Sponsors anywhere from 50 to 100. 50, on average, somewhere between that, somewhere between 50 to 100, but minimum 50, maximum 100 people, and that's what it took for them to be a top earner in their company. Now I ask you, is it worth it? Yeah, so it's like Tony said, what's the difference between could and should? No, must and should. Must and should is the life we want and the life we live. So we have to decide what's going to be stronger here when it comes to that, our dream. Now, here's the thing you can do. You notice when you go to Facebook, and when you go to Facebook, you see on the search bar, you can type in different things. So let's say that you type in organic food. What's interesting is Facebook is going to suggest different Facebook groups that you can join. And you can type in anything you want, but I'm talking about something that might relate to the kind of culture your company really promotes or your product, that it's a good fit for that topic. And you type it in that search bar. Facebook groups are going to be suggestive, and also people in your Facebook network. So let's say you got 3,000 in your Facebook network. you're going to see different posts that those people are making regarding that very subject. What does that allow you to do? You have commonality right there, common ground, so that you can reach out to these people and start engaging. And you can join those Facebook groups. Again, your goal is 10 a day, no exceptions. You know, I remember back in the early 80s, it was, and it might have been Larry Thompson. I can't remember, boy. My mind, I forget some of the details. But he used to have this this commitment. He would put 10 pennies in his pocket, in his right pocket. And he said, you know what? I'm not going home until I find 10 people to talk to today. And every person that he talked to, after he talked to that person, he would take a penny out of his right pocket and put in his left. When his right pocket was empty, he'd say, business is done. And then he would follow up with those 10, of course. And because he did that, he became a superstar in his company. Well, you apply that same thing today here. The principles never change, just the methods. Principles never change, just the methods. See, what I did 30, 40 years ago still works for me today. It's just I do it differently, different methods. So set that, again, I talked about this last week. Consistency is, Andrina, is what wins the game here. The problem with most networkers is that they're not consistent. They just do it when they feel like it. You know, we can't wait until we feel like it because we're just not going to do it. We do it because we know we should do it. And that's the difference. And that's what leaders do. So set yourself accountable and do those 10. Now, here's, let's go to Archie Schrader. He was asking, and he's from Alabama. He said, I'd like for you to demonstrate a conversation to a prospect that we are talking to. Answer the frequently asked questions they must have. How can we summarize the way we can make money without going into the full-blown plan? He's talking about compensation plan. Things like, you know, if you sponsor, you know, he gives a scenario. Okay, so I totally get it. I totally get it. If we want to run people off, just explain the compensation plan. That'll do it. That'll really do it every time. Because we have to understand people's lives are already complicated. And we sold them on the narrative that if you get involved in my business, you know, I'm going to uncomplicate your life. Because look at all the hours you're putting into work. Your wife's putting into work. She's stressed out. You're stressed out. You got debt, whatever. And what I've got is going to uncomplicate that. And you're going to love this life because it's just not going to be complicated. And then what's one of the first things that many do? Show them the compensation plan. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to explain that. Oh man, my life's already, I don't want complicated on complicated. Okay, and that's what they think. So, so the best thing to do is give them activity examples. People just want to know, who remembers that line in Jerry Maguire, the movie Jerry Maguire? Does anybody remember that line? What's the line I'm talking about here? And let's see if somebody can bring that up in just a second. What's the first word? Remember the guy that Tom Cruise was trying to recruit? He's Jerry, you know, just trying to recruit, and this ball player, and the ball player said something to him. And this is the classic question that most people are really wanting to know. And it is, all right, going once. There. Alina and Lexus and John, everybody got it. Show me the money. Show me the money. That's right. And that's what people want to know. Just show me the money. I don't want to know that. Okay. So that's the simple thing. So going back to Archie's brilliant question is activity examples. Here's the thing. People want to know, what have I got to do to break even? First of all, because I just joined you. When my wife finds out, she's going to kill me. Another one? You said you weren't going to do this again. I remember that very statement, when I was married before. We're still good friends, right? But anyway, and she did. That's exactly what that was back in the early 1990s, and I did. She came home and saw a distributor kit on the dining room table, like they had a fit. And I said, listen, I've got to try this. I've got to try this one. And really, I hit a home run, found a home for, 5-6 years in that company. It was a great decision at that time. But I can remember the lead products. It was a weight loss product with a cleansing tea, and it had senna in it. Some of you ladies will pick up on that. It had senna in it. And I liked it so much, I had 2 cups after I opened that box. 2 cups. Next thing I know, I'm in the bathroom for a while, and then she's pacing outside the bathroom door asking me, how you doing? How you doing with your new opportunity? Anyway, so the thing is, people want to know how to break even. And so we got to give an example to do that. And so let me see, Archie, I looked at your company's plan. So basically, just to sign them up on the basic entry, what you call your loyalty program, 125 points, I guess, 125 points. Looking at your plan, I can tell you right now that sponsor 2, who's sponsor 2, your products are free. Sponsor 3, who's sponsor 3, we're only talking about 2 levels here. Sponsor 3, who's sponsor 3, your products are free and you've made a couple of $100. Do that again. That is sponsor 3 more the following month, who's sponsor 3. That means now you have a network of people on your first level and on your second level. That is 6 on your first, 36 on your second. You're making $1,000 a month established residual income. And you did that in a couple of months, in 2 months. If you can do that in 2 months, and you can show that kind of activity example, then you're, people can look at that and say, okay, I can do that. In other words, tell me what I got to do. My wife's going to kill me when she finds out I joined one of these when we get the credit card bill. So what can I do so I don't die? Okay, sponsor 2, who's sponsor 2? If you go no further than that, we're talking about 6 people in your downline. Your products are free. She will not kill you. Okay, I just hope you don't get this kind of tea that I got in the 90s. She may pace outside the bathroom door laughing at you. Anyway, but when you show them the money is what? Instead of sponsoring 2 who get 2, 3 who get 3. Teach people 3 to get 3. Your products are free and you're making a couple of $100. Now people start believing that money can be made. Now they're willing to engage another month and do 3 again. Now you have 6 that you enrolled and they did the same thing. You have 36 on your second level based on 125 points in your company's plan. You got a solid $1,000 residual income. Now what you have to do, friends, you have to look at your own plans that way. In other words, give people an activity example. Well, if you do this, this is what you get. Something very simple, something that they can immediately perceive what you're saying, and they say, oh, I can do that. I can do that. That's the key. So, and then we go to, let me see, then we go to Eden. Is Eden in the room? Okay, so Eden asked the question, what are your thoughts on funnels? My mind goes blank. Not just the websites coming from your company, but setting up funnels like through MLSP or another reputable company. So here again, okay, so I can remember a time back, Ray Higdon would say that funnels are not duplicatable. It's, you know, and I really agree with him on that. But here's the thing. We have to understand something that, and again, I say that the principles never change, just the methods, right? But some things don't change. And that is when we onboard people, the last thing I want to do is get them in marketing. If you want to ruin that person, get them in marketing. Well, you might say, well, Jeff, we're in network marketing. That's right. But let's focus on the first word, network. I want them to network. I don't want them in marketing yet. See, that's a process that we move them into. Network is where they make their contact list and they don't announce on their Facebook page that to all their warm market that they just joined your company, put everybody on red alert. We train them not to do that. But they make that list, and then I'm going to help them with that list, go over that list, make sure that they're not being prejudiced to adding anybody that should be on that list that's not on that list. Because that's always one of my first questions. Who's not on this list that should be on this list? And when I ask that question, they're like, okay, yeah, sure. And they start adding the people that are probably the influencers, the drivers, the people that make it happen in life on the list. I want to work that list. I want them to network. We're going to network. We're going to reach out to these people. We're not going to do a shotgun approach and announce our products on our Facebook page that person just joined, okay? That will ruin them, and then they'll quit. So we're going to protect that, and we're going to work that list, and I'm going to get them in the money. Like what he said to Jerry Maguire, show me the money. We're going to show them the money. We're going to run with those people with that list. Once we've gone through that list, and that could take a year to properly work their warm market, maybe not, maybe sooner, it just depends on how many people they know, but only after they're in, they have enough income coming in and they're solid in the business, now we can look at marketing. And they're in network marketing. They're not just networking, now they're going into marketing. Okay, so marketing is a choice. Now they don't necessarily have to do that. And there's different ways to market, isn't there? But Eden asked the question about funnels. So when it comes to funnels, funnel is just a process, isn't it? It's a marketing process in which you take a total stranger that doesn't know anything about you. It's a cold market approach. So back in the 90s, I used to run ads in the newspaper, right? Well, that was our funnel back then. What was part of my funnel? The funnel was get the phone to ring. Well, first is run the ad. Okay, that's part of my funnel back then. Get the phone to ring. Make the appointment. Go to the appointment. Get them to make a decision to join you. It was all part of the process that we took them through. Principles never change, just the methods. So now there's this thing called funnels. You don't have to do a funnel or have a funnel. You don't have to do that. Again, if you have a business page on Facebook, it's a pay-to-play page, and you can do things like you can make offers where people opt in their email addresses, and you start building a database, and you start blogging, and you start giving value to these people, and you also ask them to get involved with you in your business. There's that strategy. But let's go back to the funnel. So the thing about the funnel is there's like different steps. You have, the first thing you want to create is traffic. So that is, you're going to have to run an ad to generate traffic to your funnel. Now, if you're running multiple sources, if it's Facebook, if it's your website, whatever you're using, you need to know where the traffic is coming from, because that's where you're going to spend your money. And then understand just that fact too, and is that you're going to spend money. And if you're not going to create the funnel yourself, you can do it yourself. But if you'd rather let someone else do that, there's different people that do it and do it well. And if you reach out to me, I'll refer you to the one that I know, Ray's Facebook ads manager, and she recommends a funnel guy. Okay. Anyway, I forgot his name. It's been a while, but I can find him. Anyway, so you got a funnel now. You generate traffic to the funnel. You want to, it's a process that you're going to go through. And then what you want to do is you just want to basically get them to take interest in your product or service. Now, keep in mind, the whole purpose of the funnel is to generate leads, right? Because, and ask yourself, what are you selling here? I mean, because some people will sell trainings, some people will sell their books, coaching services, or it could be, if it's about your product that you're wanting to get people interested in. The thing is, you want to get them to take action, and you want them to, and that's the next step, I guess, is the conversion part, where you get them to do some micro action, like, engage and say yes to something. So in other words, you might offer something in exchange for their email address. It's important to get that email address. Why? Because you want to find these people again. And if you did this through Facebook, and God forbid something happened to Facebook, what are you going to do? How are you going to find these people ever again, right? So you need those email addresses. And I have a friend that, man, she does a lot of her marketing just through email. But how did she get these emails? Through this process, making offers where people will give up their email address. And it could be anything, it could be a recipe, it could be a training on a specific topic. It can be any of those things where people just opt in and give you their email addresses. So that's part of the conversion process. And then there's the ascension process, where in ascension is, now you're wanting to engage with that person to get them to join you or to buy whatever it is you're selling. And so in that process, and that comes from giving value and then asking them to make a decision. Sometimes it takes repeat emails, and you're maybe giving a story, you're sharing information that validates your product or lends credibility to whatever you're promoting, if it's you or whatever your training is. Then finally they make that decision in that ascension process, and that's it. And then finally the last stage is elevation. You want to get that person to do what? You want to engage with that person, make them feel like they made the right decision in the next email sequences that go out, and just give them value. And if they joined you in your business, then you certainly want to take them through the onboarding process that you have. So those are the stages. And so nothing wrong with that. Just, know that you're going to spend some money. And if you want to spend some money on it, but again, you can budget that. You can budget that. It's not that it will cost you a fortune. So then, anyway, good questions. So now I'm going to look for, George, some of the questions you guys just asked in this thread or in this video just now. And it's just one. Hey, I'm getting off light tonight, unless somebody asks a question. Okay. Oh, and this is from Justine. And man, I like your videos. I've seen your page. You're good. So keep doing what you're doing. I can see that you got a great family life. You're doing it right. So what do you do when you have uplines that don't truly value you and look and talk to me as a transaction? All I want is a friend first. Then the business comes. Yeah, here's what I would do, Justine. I would, I don't know how many people in your upline you know. For those of you that don't know what an upline is, okay, so that's basically the tree. When you join, and whoever sponsors you, that person has a sponsor, and whoever that person is, they have a sponsor, so on and so forth. Sort of like your genealogy. You had a father, you had a grandfather, you had a great grandfather, you had a great great grandfather, and that's the way it goes, straight up, right? So I would, if you don't know everybody in your upline, try to, you can call your company and find out, so that if your sponsor is, just not valuing you, and maybe possibly that person's sponsor isn't either, who is up the tree that you can reach out to, and just call your company and say, hey, I need to know more people in my upline to see, because I need more help. You don't have to tell your company these people are, not so good, right? But just find out who is in the tree, and then see, and you'll be surprised. A lot of times you can find some nice people that will really work with you and help you. They have, some of them might be well established and they have more time on their hands than, they're sort of set, you know what I mean? So, you'll be surprised that you can really find some nice people that way. Try that, see what you get from that. Of course, I'm your virtual upline, right? So, so I always like to help people, but yeah, try that. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, and I've been in my company 21 years, so I don't really hear from my upline. I really don't. I'm not critical of that. I'm just saying I don't. Would I like to hear from them more? Yes, that would be nice. Hey, any of you guys out there heard that? No offense, okay? It's just the way it is. But it also makes me aware of the need for me to do that too. And that is to talk to people that are, in my downline. And yes, sideline, yeah, and sometimes that's true. You can find and what she means by sideline is going outside the line that she's in, because companies have other lines. And then there are other leaders that are nice, and they might give you time and they might be helpful. It's funny though how greed just sets in though. I get so disappointed with some people when well, you're not in my line, so I can't help you and I can't share my secret information. There are no secrets. There are no secrets, okay? There's just tools that some create, and they think that nobody's ever done that before, but believe me, it was done long ago. It's just a different way that you're saying it. But anyways, nice to have you guys on, and Mindy, nice to see you, all of you, and I appreciate everything you guys do. So have a wonderful weekend, and a lot of the country's opening up in the United States, so be safe, okay? It's amazing here that this area is opening up, totally opening up. Now nobody's wearing a mask. Oh, really? The governor of Tennessee says, we're opening up, folks. And, oh, great, man. The coronavirus is gone. I don't have to wear a mask. Isn't this beautiful? I'll tell you, I wonder about people. But anyway, so be safe, all right? Out there. And use good judgment. You really need to do that. Protect your families and all that. And remember, right now, there's 30 million Americans unemployed. The government here is not going to be able to give them paychecks forever. Some drunk politicians think they can, but they don't understand there's limits to everything, right? So these people are going to be home, a lot of them. So reach out to them, because eventually that money is going to end, and then they may not be able to find a job. So you're the perfect, you got the perfect opportunity for people like that. And this is certainly a whole lot better than a job. So everyone have a great weekend, and then I'll put out some value on the weekend. Talk to you soon.